there's going to be a longer lead time for that 100% occupancy. Then there's going to be a smaller group of people having to pay for hospital, police day stuff, expensive, waste management, snow removal. Is that going to be a percentage of their monthly income? Is it going to be a flat rate? How is that stuff actually going to get paid for? Because
I guess we'll offer subsidized rates, so we don't want to discriminate. As you said, we don't want the initial residents to pay more initially and then have a reduced rate over time. So we will subsidize that initially, and we recognize that because it's being built over in phases, that issues like that will come up. But because they are already using those services as they move in, we will still charge them, but at the reduced rate or the common rate that we will offer to everybody.
And then the rest of it's going to be paid for by just the initial investment?
We realize that it's a cost that we have to take in initially.
It's part of the PDIF loan that's going to be given.
Because we have 17 years until we really have to pay.
Yeah.
The Russian economy has been hit even worse by the global financial crisis than us. So how much do you expect that to decrease your projected return on investment?
Well, first of all, the Krasnodar region, from what we have ascertained, has been faring better than the rest of Russia. But also, since, again, we're so far, construction hasn't started yet. Like I was mentioning, we don't know, because probably, I say probably, but by the time construction starts, we presume that this current crisis will be over and things will be back on track. But again, we can't judge. We don't know. There's, obviously no one can tell the future.
There's a lot of rich Russians out there. A lot.
And the fact that there's such poor housing available right now, that I think that it's going to be a good sell.
Yeah. And our captain, our CEO, is extremely confident that everything's going to sell out quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
The literature says, there's been a huge jump in disposable income starting in 2000. In 2007, it's peaked. And then the only thing it's said is it's slowing down between 2008, 2009, and nothing tangible right now to really put our hands on. But it's looming over us. What we're going to do if people are actually going to afford it. How hard, how immune is Russia to the financial crisis as they've been saying that they are.
And from what we could gather, the captain told us that a lot of people have apartments that they already rent out or own actually in the city center, and they've had these houses or apartments for maybe 10, 20 years. And the appreciation in value, he said, has been extraordinary. So people may have 2 apartments that they're trying to sell and then put that money in towards a better living situation away from the city.
2 questions. Did you have a projected total budget for the project? I thought I saw some numbers.
Up to 500 million.
Up to 500 million.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the second question I have then is, where did you come across? How did you determine the pricing for the individual condos up through mansions?
We just
And
estimated.
did you determine? Did you kind of figure the margins that would create?
What information we got is how much it costs per square footage in Moscow for apartments, and so we had information on mortgages, on mortgage companies, and how much they're lending out. And with that, we just talked it through, and we said realistically how much we think the range would be. It's all tentative.
Which is why we also left a lot of room for flexibility based on conditions.
It's like,
Yeah. And there's a lot also that a lot more that we would need to know to give firmer prices that we don't yet know.
And we know the prices of the German village, the houses in that area. So again, we were extrapolating from that, thinking that we'd have to tone it down a little bit because of the way the economy has been.
Real quick question. You mentioned there's a lot of rich Russians, but a lot of them don't live in Russia. What are you guys doing to reach out to some of these expats of Russia to get them to buy houses?
Well, this area is actually a big resort area, and this is where everybody vacations. So part of this is selling this as a second house, a vacation house.
they have a vacation house more by the Caspian Sea, and in a different area because it's a little bit more inland. So I don't know how realistic it would be to get the expats in there. Our focus is the Russian middle class family.
And we talked about this when we were deciding how to market it, and think we decided it was just too much. I mean, it's hard. I mean, obviously it'd be nice, but.
And really the vision of the captain was to provide it for the local residents, you know, that he wanted it to be, to alleviate the housing crunch that's there right now for people living there. So his goal is to cater to the residents first of the area. I think you had, yeah.
I was wondering about that partnership that you want to make with the company in the U.S. I think it's great that you have even recommended a specific company, and I think you went that deep. But I was wondering what is going to be the relationship with them, because in one part you say that you don't want them to be a partner in in construction, the construction part, just as a consulting and real estate. But on the other hand, the entrepreneurs even have experience in real estate construction field. So how are you going to manage that?
Well, okay, that's a good question. It's a difficult partnership to try to propose, but I think the client can pull it off. Well, it would be hard to have a company based in the U.S. actually build the houses unless they were planning to go over to Russia and start hiring and training workers. Obviously, because transporting workers from the United States to Russia is prohibitively expensive. The consulting role, I think, is a good idea, especially in this economy, because houses aren't being built here in the United States, really. You have a lot of these companies who are willing to do work basically on a consulting basis. So it's just being an arm-length relationship. Once you start talking about strategic alliances and joint ventures, you're giving up equity stakes, you're getting your lawyers involved.
Can I follow up? So you're going to hire an American company. You're going to pay them, or do you want them? What is going to be their profit or their outcome from the?
It's going to be paid on architectural fees.
Okay.
Licensing their designs that they have already, paying for their, basically asking them to have a dedicated staff to this project and just paying them, and then cost plus basis.
I mean, going along with that, I don't know. Are like these American consultants, is there a difference between like commercial developers, residential developers, and then the combination that you're going to need as part of like also city planners? Or will that firm be all encompassing? Do they have all those skills, or how many other firms are going to have to be involved also?
It would be nice to have a firm, like a go-to shop, or use a, like in the government they use a prime contractor, and then that firm would use their subcontractors. It'd be nice. It's going to be really up to how the village is going to be designed in the end, I think.
But I know you recommend the Peterson company. Like, is that a one-stop shop firm, or would that be the starting point, and then they need to hire?
It would be the starting point, at least to get discussions rolling. And then, well, I don't work for the Peterson companies. I don't know anybody who does. So I really don't know how that would go about.
Just to add to that, we have the backing of the local government, as we said, and so they're helping with laying the pipes and the water, heating, all those other aspects of it. So they're already taking care of that without really any additional cost, because they want this project to happen. So they're laying, I think it's about 15-20 kilometers worth of all the infrastructure that's needed, except for the road. I don't think they're helping with the road, but they're helping with the other aspects of it.
The reason why this partnership's important is because right now it's just a vision. That's it. And there's a plot of land that's bought. So this, what we presented to you, is the vision rolling out into reality. But there's, right now, as Deepika mentioned in her presentation, it's really much at the beginning stages. So they need like help with the marketing plan or construction, designing, and to start.
I absolutely agree. I was just curious if like the company was like a one-stop shop or
okay.
More research would be needed.